Do you know what one of the greatest fears after 40 is? It's not aging, it's depending financially on your children. Going from being the foundation to becoming the weight. That thought keeps many people awake at night. People who have lived a lot and still want to live with dignity. But take a breath. This fear is not the end. It's the beginning of a new awareness. Because the fear of depending financially on your children isn't really about money. It's about identity. It's about the feeling of losing control over your own life. About looking back and thinking, I used to be strong. I supported so many people. And now, after 40, so much changes. The body asks for more calm. The market demands more adaptation. And sometimes, life puts you in a position you never imagined, the position of needing help. But what hurts isn't the help itself. It's what it represents. It's the feeling that freedom is slipping through your fingers. And that's when fear grows. Psychology calls this the threat to autonomy, the deep fear of losing the power of choice. Studies show that financial dependence is among the main causes of depression and anxiety in midlife. It's not about bills or coins, but about the symbol behind them: dignity, freedom, respect. And when money disappears, the ego screams, "You failed." But the truth is, you're simply being invited to reinvent yourself. The first loss that comes with this fear is the loss of self-confidence. When someone believes they're past the age of prospering, the mind shifts into survival mode. And in survival mode, there is no creation, only scarcity. But here's the good news. The brain keeps learning until the very end of life. Neuroscience proves that it's possible to form new neural connections at any age. That means financial freedom after 40 is absolutely possible. You just need to give your mind new commands. With every idea, every attempt, every new attitude, the brain understands it's still time. And when the brain understands, the body responds, and the future begins to reorganize itself. The second consequence is shame. Shame for needing help, shame for starting over, shame for not being where you thought you would be. But shame is an illusion. It's born from comparison. And comparison is the death of gratitude. When you look at others, you lose yourself. When you look at yourself with love, you find strength. A mature financial life begins when you understand that you're not late, you're in transition. And every transition is uncomfortable at the beginning, confusing in the middle, but liberating in the end. The third consequence is inertia. That feeling of paralysis, of there's no point in trying anymore. But action is the only antidote to fear, even if it's small, even if it's imperfect. With each step, you teach your brain that you're still in the game. And the more you move, the more the universe responds. Nothing happens while standing still. Movement is the language of abundance. That's exactly what happened with Susan, 54 years old. After a divorce and losing her job, she spent some time living with her son. She felt ashamed, avoided talking about money, and cried alone at night. Until one day, she decided to turn her love for plants into income. She started selling small potted plants from home. Today, she owns an online shop and lives peacefully. Prosperity after 40 arrived the moment she replaced fear with action. It wasn't quick, nor was it easy, but it was real. Because true prosperity is the kind that's born together with inner peace. And the same happened with Michael, 57 years old. After being laid off, he believed he would never be hired again. For months, he lived off the help of his children. But something inside him refused to accept that this would be his destiny. He reorganized his finances, took a short digital marketing course, and started helping small local businesses. In less than a year, he rebuilt his income, and most importantly, his sense of pride. Abundance after 40 isn't luck, it's awareness. It's understanding that it's not the number in your bank account that defines your worth, but your ability to reinvent yourself. The real turning point happens when you understand that rebuilding yourself financially is, above all, an emotional process. Before organizing your spreadsheet, you must organize your heart. Before seeking investment, you must restore your sense of self-worth. Because money is energy, and it responds to how you feel about yourself. When you vibrate in guilt, it pulls away. When you vibrate in worthiness, it returns, and it comes back strong. Here's a principle that can change everything. Money loves clarity. Wealth and maturity begins when you have a clear plan, even a simple one. A prosperity plan for those over 40 doesn't need to be grand. It just needs to be possible. It can start with a side income, a personal project, freelance work, or a small investment. What matters is to put movement into the energy of prosperity. Because money isn't a destination, it's a reflection. It mirrors how much you trust yourself. At 40, 50, 60, priorities change, and that's perfectly fine. Maybe you no longer want to climb the ladder, but to live with lightness. Maybe the focus now isn't on accumulation, but on sustainability. And that's wisdom. Financial independence and maturity is about balance, not display. It's about looking at money with awareness, not fear. It's about transforming every lesson learned into a new source of inner power. There's also a spiritual dimension to this. Prosperity is an expression of flow, and flow requires gratitude. When you resist what is, you create blockage. When you accept and give thanks, the path opens. So if today you find yourself depending on someone, stop judging yourself. Use this moment as a turning point. Ask yourself, what can I learn here? What can I rebuild from this point on? Self-knowledge is the soil of a mature financial life. And when awareness blooms, prosperity follows. Financial growth after 40 comes from the union between experience and purpose. It's not about starting over from zero. It's about starting over from higher ground, with wisdom. To rise again is an act of quiet courage. It's not about proving anything to anyone. It's about reconnecting with your own worth. It's about looking within and saying, I still can. I still want to. I still deserve to. And when that feeling is born, the universe begins to cooperate. Opportunities appear, people arrive, ideas return, and fear slowly fades until it turns into strength. Remember, children don't want to see their parents dependent. They want to see them at peace. And the greatest inheritance you can leave is the example of someone who never gave up. Someone who chose to begin again. Prosperity after 40 isn't built on luck. It's built on awareness. And awareness is what's born when you look fear in the eye and decide to act in spite of it. Financial freedom after 40 is real. And it begins the moment you decide you will no longer hide behind guilt. When you choose to prepare yourself emotionally to rise again, money stops being a threat and becomes a tool. And from that moment on, everything changes. If this video added value to your life, give it a like, share it with friends, drop a comment below, and subscribe with notifications on. You can also enjoy the extra content I left in the first pinned comment below.